Hi, welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. So I've got a classic album inspection for you today. It's a Razamanaz by Nazareth. This is their third album. It's the 50th anniversary. So around this time, this year and the coming years, there's quite a lot of important albums in the hard rock, heavy rock and heavy metal genre achieving big anniversaries. So Nazareth really come of age with this album. Their first album put them on the map. Then they kind of took a weird detour with their second album, Exercises. It's got a funny album cover. It's got like cover versions, folky stuff, orchestral arrangements. Kind of probably kind of like what Uriah Heep did with Salisbury, going a bit left field, I guess. But they do. This is their first kind of really full on rock album when they really kind of nail their sound. Obviously, they're one of those bands as well where sadly there's only one original member left, Dan McAfee and Manny Charlton, having died last year. This album, it's actually released in the UK in May, so that's why I'm doing my anniversary here. It didn't come out till August in the US. When I was first getting into rock and metal in 1980, Nazareth had like a kind of live EP out. You could buy a double 7-inch single, and I had Razamanaz, and my brother had that. I think Nazareth didn't get what I call the new bob and bounce as much as some other bands did. I'm not sure why that was. That year they released the Malice in Wonderland album. It kind of came out January, right at the start of 1980. Maybe with different kind of album cover branding, maybe a bit more metal, maybe a bit later on, maybe they had a minor hit or something. Would have got that thing that happened to Slade. Budgie did quite well, getting a little bit of a bounce. Uriah Heep, less so because they made a poor album, Conquest, although Bombernog helped them out later on. But anyway, yeah. First thing to notice with Nazareth, I think, is Dan McAfee's voice. This is not only an influential voice, kind of a voice forgotten about a bit, but he really is quite an important singer in the evolution of heavy rock singing. He's a big influence on Axl Rose. You can definitely hear his influence on Brian Johnson. That screechy style of bluesy singing, those guys do. Tom Kiefer's Cinderella, whether he's influenced by him or not, but he's in that lineage. That's the first part called Nazareth. Used quite a lot of slide guitar. They have got like a big kind of bluesy influence, but it's different from Led Zeppelin's. I can't really describe it. It's just kind of more upbeat, sort of taking that blues influence, like I say. And there's a couple of covers on this album. There's a track called Alcatraz by Leon Russell, and there's Vigilante Man, Woody Guthrie, and that's proper like kind of slow bluesy slide on that. So it opens with the title track. I think the first thing you notice with this, it's produced by Roger Glover, and he's harnessed a good sound for them. The drums are driving, there's a high tempo, there's high energy, and there's clarity and punch to the production. This is pretty heavy. It's definitely got a hard rock sound. Razamanaz, again, the title's quite glam rock. It's got that sort of rock and roll thing. We're gonna Razamanaz it tonight. So even though they never wore glammy clothes, it's fitting in with that era where you've got Ballroom Blitz by the Sweet, and it's what Slade were doing, without kind of seeing like the kind of copying that, whatever. So it's a great track. You got Alcatraz, which is really good. This starts with a really nice harmony line. I should point out, yeah, the Manny Charlton does good stuff with the guitars on this. Again, there's good sort of use of left and right. Again, really good vocal on that. Then you got Vigilante Man. This is again the Woody Guthrie cover. Again, they pull off the slide guitar, so deep blues on this. It's a really strong opening. Finish off with Woke Up This Morning, which is a kind of catchy track. Maybe not as strong, but decent. Side 2, you got Night Woman, Bad Bad Boy. Now, Bad Bad Boy's a well-known song. A bad bad boy. That's a key Nazareth track. After that, you got Soul My Soul, which is really good. This is quite epic, quite kind of almost gospel-y in a way, in its not in its vocal style, but just in its kind of feel. And then Too Bad Too Sad's really catchy. It's only 2 minutes 55, good. And then it finishes off with another well-known track by the man called Broken Down Angel. You'll probably hear this on Planet Rock. Catchy song. So the album's only like 34 minutes long. There's actually a bonus track on some CDs, but it's to the point. I think the other thing that's interesting is the length of the songs. So they're certainly kind of pulling in from the glam rock length more on this. Every band around this time is still doing 7-8 minute songs. On this album there's just there's 2 tracks over 4 minutes, one over 5. The rest are under 4 minutes. One's under 3 minutes. And it did well for them. Just looking at the chart places, you know, they made 11 in the UK. I think it was the highest place in ever. Billboard was 157. Not that high, but later on, a couple of years later, they do very well with their Hair of the Dog, which would go platinum, which has their cover of Love Hurts, and that's probably where Axl Rose picked up on, I would imagine. This album went gold in Canada. If you go ahead to their other albums, they really do start to build, like Loud and Proud. They're 10 in the UK, and then their chart placings go up on the US Billboard. They're starting to get more chart placings in Germany. Rampant, same again, just 13 in the UK, top 10 in Finland, and then Hair of the Dog, like I said, which is their biggest album. Let's see, 17 in the Billboard US, gold in Canada, and so on. So they were a band that were popular, not just not just in the UK, but Europe and the US. And I think they did well through the 70s. Things tailed off for them. They did the greatest hits in 75, Close Enough for Rock and Roll, a little more conceptual look for that. But when I was younger, the two album covers that stood out were Expect No Mercy, which is a really good track, and then No Means City. No Means City's got an amazing album cover by Rodney Matthews. I think it's Rodney Matthews. I'm just trying to check here. But it's brilliant. It's one of those album covers when you were younger, you would look at the No Means City cover and you were like, oh, it's amazing. But that would have been the album cover for the Year of New Wobbin, but when they did Malice in Wonderland album, the cover for that it's not very metal, not very rock. So just these are the sort of things that kind of help or hinder bands, in a weird way. So anyway, it's a pretty short review that. I gave this album like good few spins. I'd maybe like to spin it more. But what comes across really is that Nazareth are really tight, they're punchy, they've got great chemistry, they've got guitar that stands out, and they've got a unique, like all great rock bands at the time, they've got a unique singer who is a great vocalist, who can sit alongside Coverdale, Byron, Ozzy, Paul Rodgers, Brian Connolly, Noddy Holder, the guys like that, probably worth checking out if you haven't checked them out. Okay, so that's my 50th anniversary review of Razamanaz by Nazareth, and see you again soon.